Welcome to We Learn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 10th of the subject Organizing Childcare Services and the chapter Socio-Emotional Development, the Early Relationships. Let's see the contents: Introduction, the early interactions, development of attachment, learning to trust, emotional expressions, daycare for children, role of heredity and environment, interrelationship among various areas of development. Now let's see what is the meaning of the term social. The term social refers to that aspect of development concerned with human interactions. As the name suggests, it is concerned with interactions, as man is a social animal. He or she cannot live alone. We have to interact. We have to talk to people, to live in this society, to maintain our social well-being. So in early social relationships, emotions such as love, delight, and distress come into play. Similarly, an infant or newborn also displays emotions in their own unique ways. These two aspects of development, social and emotional, generally occur together and are studied under the head of socio-emotional development. In an infant also, socio as well as emotional development takes place in their own ways, and gradually, when they mature, socio-emotional development takes place in a massively huge way. The early interactions. The newborn needs consistent care and nurturance from a person if she is or if he is to survive. So a newborn needs consistent care, nurturance, guidance, love, compassion from a person who is close, either a family member, mother, or a father. She communicates her feelings and needs to the people who look after her and in turn reacts to their responses. The newborn communicates his or her feelings to the persons who look after her and in turn also reacts to their responses. Whatever responses they say or whatever they say, she also reacts in his or her own unique way, either by cooing or by babbling. The adults too must be able to attract the baby's attention, and they do so effectively. The adults also in their own unique ways attract baby's attention, either by giving them toys or by singing poems, rhymes, songs, or by other unique ways. They also attract the baby's attention, which is very important. Thus, the caregiver and the infant have behaviors that will help them in interaction with each other and enable them to develop a bond with each other. So, whatever behavior is given by the caregiver, in the similar way the infant reacts to that behavior. In the same way the infant respond to the behavior. If the behavior is in a light or in a sing-song manner or in a rhythmic manner, the infant also reacts in his or her own unique way. So the caregiver should always be involved with the child, and that helps to develop a bond with each other. So the behaviors of the caregivers. Physical contact. Infants and older children have an inborn need for physical contact. In fact, touch is crucial in the development of the emotional bond between the caregiver and the child. So a touch, that is a physical contact, and that is very necessary for the development of the emotional bond between the two people, that is the caregiver and the child. Infants and older children have an inborn need for physical contact. They grip when you touch them. They hold your hand and they hold your hand firmly. So they have this inborn need for physical contact. So a touch is a gesture of care, love, and compassion. Speech. When we talk with the infant, we tend to use baby talk. This is a very specific form of speech not used with an older child, say a 2-year-old. So a baby talk is used in their own way, like singing of songs or using any other ways to attract the child effectively. Baby talk is done to make the child comfortable and to make the child play. This is how baby talk is done by the adults. Smiling. A smile initiates a social relationship. A smile is very important to initiate or to start a social relationship that opens windows for many other positive feelings and positive emotions to come out. We smile when we wish to communicate warmth, acceptance, and recognition. Whenever recognition, reward, acceptance, warmth, or compassion, love has to be communicated, it is communicated with the help of a smile, which shows a positive reaction and a positive response. So that initiates a relationship. Behaviors of the caregivers, facial expressions, that is very important. Almost all adults and children, while interacting with the baby, exaggerate their facial expressions. They exaggerate their facial expressions in the way they raise their eyebrows, they sing, they laugh, they also make the child laugh together. So, while interacting with the child, adults show different facial expressions to attract the child and to make the child happy. Gazing. Caregivers normally gaze at the infant while interacting with him or her and while taking care of her routine needs. Initially, the infant may look at the mother only occasionally and is able to hold her gaze for only a few seconds. For only a few seconds, he or she is able to hold her gaze, but caregivers usually gaze at their children to see what activities they are performing, how they are performing. They are looking at them or they are not looking at them, or where are they looking, what activities are they undertaking, are they playing with a toy, or are they playing with you? Next is movements and rhythms. When we play with an infant, we nod, shake our head from side to side, or bring it forward. These head movements serve to maintain the attention of the infant. So all these head movements and these bodily movements, these rhythms, help to maintain the attention of the infant. The infant is able to see you. The infant is able to gauge. The infant is able to see your movements, your head movements, your bodily movements, your facial expressions. The infant is able to see that how you are interacting with the child. In a similar manner, the infant also responds. So the abilities and behaviors of the infant, sensory abilities. The sensory abilities, the senses of an infant are very strong. Whether touch, whether feeling, hearing, smelling. And the behaviors, the way a child sees a person holding hand, the child also holds hands firmly. So the behavior of the child is seen by the adults, that in which activities the child is undertaking himself or herself while playing or doing anything else, holding things, holding toys, holding objects, gazing and smiling. The child also smiles when he or she achieves a certain age, also gazes at objects or whatever you are wearing. Sometimes the accessories also the child gazes. Crying is used by the child to communicate something with which the child is uncomfortable with. Cooing and babbling are the sounds which are made or which are done by the child to express emotions. In babbling, small syllables are used like da, ki, ma, ni. All these syllables are used and speech sounds are used by the child. Cooing, these are also speech sounds used by a child. Imitation is a big form. Child imitates people around him or her. So when a child reaches a certain age, he or she imitates or copies family members' responses, reactions, or other people who are surrounding him or her. Development of attachment. Attachment is an emotional bond between two people, and in this case refers to the bond between the mother and the infant. Attachment is the maximum between the mother and the infant, and it is an emotional bond between the two people. So it is an emotional bond, and it is a feeling which is generated from a mother when she sees her child and her child playing, being safe. And when a child sees the mother and feel safe in her company. That is attachment between the mother and the infant. Infants become attached to people who take care of them, who take good care of them, who gives them love, who give them compassion, who gives them nurturance. The infant becomes attached to those people. In most cases, it is a mother who primarily looks after the baby, and the infant usually becomes attached to her. This is the infant's first social relationship. What is the infant's first social relationship? It is the mother, with which the child or the infant becomes attached. Why? Because the mother takes care of the child. The mother looks after the child's needs, and the mother also takes care when the child is crying or when the child is uncomfortable. The mother also takes care and primarily looks after the baby. The other members also takes care of the baby, but the mother primarily sees the needs and the requirements of her child. So this is the infant's first social relationship. Attachment is a two-way process, and the behavior of the infant and the caregivers contribute towards it. It is a two-way process. The behavior of the infant, first the behavior of the caregiver. With the behavior of the caregiver, the infant also responds. And with the behavior and the response of the infant, the caregivers also responds. Further, they respond something, and these two kinds of behaviors contribute towards attachment. So attachment can also be one-sided, but it is better contributed and it is better nurtured when it is a two-way process from the baby as well as the caregiver. Learning to trust. When the child experiences affection consistently, she develops a feeling of trust. When the child experiences affection, love, delight, he or she develops a feeling of trust and a sense of security. Developing trust and a sense of security is important since it influences later behavior to a considerable extent. So developing these positive and strong emotions at an early age, like trust, sense of security, safety, it influences or it makes the child positive in the later behavior, also in the future adult behavior as well. Firstly, an infant who has experienced a warm relationship with her caregiver in the first year of life is likely to view other adults she comes in contact with later as safe and friendly. When the first experience of the infant is good, is warm, is positive, when the infant has experienced a warm relationship with the caregiver in the first year of life, then it is likely that the infant also views other people or other adults as safe, friendly and positive. So the behavior is also molded in a positive manner towards other people of the infant. Secondly, developing trust influences the child's exploratory behavior and the quality of play. It also enhances the quality of play of the child and also the exploratory behavior. Whatever the child wants to explore, whatever the child wants to question and to see things around. So developing trust also makes the child see and become curious and explore different things from his or her eyes. Emotional expressions. While adults have a variety of emotional expressions, this is not so in the case of infants. Infants have either love or uncomfortableness or distress. In fact, the newborn does not have clearly differentiated emotions. In the first year of life, the infant primarily shows two emotional states, delight and distress. Delight is happiness and distress is a feeling of sadness when the child is uncomfortable, when the child is not comfortable. So in the first year of life, the infant primarily shows these two emotional states, and the emotional expressions of the adults are completely different as compared with the infants. She expresses delight by smiling or laughing. An infant expresses delight or happiness by either smiling or making different sounds or looking here and there, laughing, responding to the caregivers around. Distress is expressed mostly through crying. Distress is expressed mostly through crying when the child cries or when the child is uncomfortable. when the child cries, and that is shown that the child is not feeling comfortable or the child is distressed. So in this way, emotional expressions are explicitly shown by the child, and the adults also notice when the child is feeling happy or when the child is distressed. Stranger anxiety. The infant is less likely to show fear of the stranger if he or she is with the mother. If he or she is with the mother, the infant feels safe and secure with the mother. Then, of course, there are variations in the fear response of infants, some being very fearful, some only slightly so, and others not fearful at all. So, there are also differences. When strangers come in the house, or when other people come in the house to which the infant does not know and the infant is not acquainted with, different responses are done. Different response is shown of the infants. Some become very fearful of the strangers, some do not go to them, and some do not even look at them, and some even start crying when they see other people at the house, and some only slightly show fearful behavior, and then later they become comfortable. Other infants are not fearful at all. They go, they play with them, they are also happy when they come, so they are not fearful at all. But some infants are very fearful and they do not go at all to other people. But mostly the infant is less likely to show fear of the stranger if he or she is with the mother, because he or she feels safe with the mother, and he or she sees that the other person cannot harm him or her. Separation anxiety. A little after infants become aware of strangers, they begin to develop anxiety about being separated from those to whom they are attached. So a little later, the infants also develops the feeling of anxiety. Anxiety as when they are getting separated from the people they care, or from the people, from the caregivers. They begin to develop anxiety when they are separated from those to whom they are attached. So this separation anxiety is also expressed through crying. As long as the parents are within sight, the infants will play and explore even in unfamiliar situations. But when separated from the parents, they get distressed. When they don't see the known faces and the known people around, they get distressed. But even in unfamiliar situations, in unfamiliar surroundings, in unfamiliar houses, when the parents are within sight of the child, the infants play and explore and they feel happy because they have their known faces and people around. But when they get separated from them, they get this feeling, or they experience separation anxiety also. Daycare for children. Research on daycare has revealed that attending a daycare center is not harmful for the child's overall development, provided the quality of care is good. Provided the daycare's quality is good, people are there to look after the child, then it does not harm the child's overall development, especially when the mothers are working, they put their child in daycare. But the quality of care, when it is good, it fosters the overall development. Since the foundation for later development are laid in the first few years only, the crèche has to provide a congenial environment. The crèche has to have a congenial and a healthy environment, because that is the only time when the foundation is being laid for the child to have behavior or to possess attitude, positive or negative, in the next adult years of life. So this is the foundation period when the child is also learning, and when in the first few years the child is also playing with other people around. This depends on the caregivers at the center and on the physical environment. This depends how the care is given to the child by the caregivers, as well as at the home and at the center, but also on the environment to which the child is put. Role of heredity and environment. Genes affect social development indirectly. There are some temperamental differences among children which are inborn. There are some temperamental which differences to attitude, how to react, crying or not crying. that are inborn. Some infants are more irritable than others. Some show a lot of bodily movement and activity and seem restless. Some children are more social than others, preferring to be with people. Some cry frequently and others are calm. So, some infants show irritable behavior very easily. Some show bodily movements and seem to be more restless. Some children are calm. They prefer to be with the people, and they laugh, and they also have the feeling of being social. But some infants cry quickly and some are peaceful. There seems to be some hereditary basis for this. So the genes and the hereditary is also responsible for this. Interrelationship among various areas of development. The maturation of the sensory organs and other parts of the body, that is physical development, helps a child to acquire motor skills. The motor skills is acquired by the child when the physical development and the sensory organs are developed. Motor skills enable the infant to explore her surroundings and thus promote cognitive development. The development of the mind is done with the help of the motor skills. She is able to do many things and to act upon the objects around her. When the motor skills are enhanced, then the child is able to jump around, the child is able to move here and there. A lot of bodily movements are seen. This helps her to develop feelings of confidence, independence, and positive self-esteem. When the child understands that, when the child is able to reach a goal, or when the child is able to reach a particular when the child is able to hold a particular object or a toy, this promotes the feelings of happiness, independence, confidence, and self-esteem in an infant. Thus, physical development also helps in social and emotional development. When the physical development takes place, it simultaneously helps in the social as well as emotional development of the infant. So these are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. How do the infant's sensory abilities aid in social interaction and help her to form a bond with caregivers? Question number 2. Why is it important for the infant to develop a feeling of trust in the primary caregiver? So this was all about maintaining trust and maintaining social relationships and maintaining emotional bond with the child and the quality of nurturance, the quality of care which is given to the child. That's all we have for you in this session. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.